Welcome, dear friend, and thank you for choosing this quiet place to rest your thoughts. The story that follows is a gentle offering, a soft and peaceful sanctuary, crafted to help you find gentle contentment and drift peacefully toward sleep. If this tale brings you comfort, a simple like, a kind subscription, or a warm comment helps this quiet corner of the world to grow. Tonight, we will be visiting the Dale of Murmurs, a hidden valley where the air itself is woven from peace. Prepare to be enchanted by a world where countless cats rest in perfect serenity, their contentment gathering like a warm, golden mist. Allow this gentle tale to be a soft blanket for your mind, a quiet path leading you to deep and restorative rest. Chapter 1. The Vibrating Path. There is a particular sort of peace to be found in the quiet, methodical work of binding books. Reese knew this peace well. He loved the scent of old paper and warm glue, the satisfying weight of a finished volume in his hands, and the gentle rhythm of his work, which allowed his thoughts to drift like motes of dust in a sunbeam. His workshop was his sanctuary, a small quiet space at the very edge of town, backing onto a copse of old sleepy trees. It was a life of simple contentment, yet lately a thread of quiet restlessness had woven its way into his days. It was on a soft gray afternoon that he first noticed it, while sweeping the worn wooden floor behind his large pressing machine. He felt a peculiar sensation through the soles of his shoes. It was a low, steady hum, a gentle vibration coming from the earth itself. It was not unpleasant. In fact, it felt deeply calming, like the lowest note of a distant song. Curiosity, a feeling as gentle as the hum itself, stirred within him. He followed the sensation to the back door of his workshop, which he rarely used. Shathis. Pushing the door open, he found the source of the vibration was a small, unassuming path of soft, dark earth that led away from his workshop and into the trees. He had never seen this path before. It seemed both new and ancient at once. The humming was stronger here, a palpable thrum that seemed to invite him forward. He stepped onto the path, and the vibration traveled up through his whole body, a soothing resonance that quieted the new restlessness inside him. The path guided him into the copse of trees, which were older and larger than he had realized. Their broad leaves formed a thick canopy overhead, dappling the ground in a soft green-tinted light. The air grew warmer as he walked, and a new scent reached him. A lovely aroma of what smelled like chamomile and something else, something clean and comforting, like fur warmed by the sun. The gentle humming of the path was now joined by a sound that matched it perfectly, a low, multi-layered purr that seemed to be coming from just ahead. As he walked, the path began to slope gently downward. The trees thinned, opening up to reveal the edge of a small hidden valley, and it was here that Reese stopped, his breath catching in a soft gasp of wonder. The entire valley was filled with a low-hanging mist, but it was unlike any mist he had ever seen. It was a soft golden color, and it swirled with a slow, languid grace. Motes of brighter gold light drifted within it, and he could see now that the sound of purring and the warm, gentle scent were emanating from this beautiful, luminous vapor. He stood at the edge of the valley for a long time, simply watching the mist breathe. It rose and fell in a slow, steady rhythm, and the purring sound that filled the air was its heartbeat. The vibration he had felt in the path was here too, a deep and constant hum that was the very foundation of this place's existence. He felt the last of his own inner disquiet dissolve, replaced by a profound sense of peace and a gentle, wondering curiosity. The path continued down into the golden mist, a clear and gentle invitation. Rhys took a slow, deliberate breath, the warm, chamomile-scented air filling his lungs and bringing with it a deep sense of calm. He took another step, and then another, descending into the valley. The mist was warm against his skin, like a soft, weightless blanket wrapping around him. It did not obscure his vision. Instead, it seemed to soften the edges of the world, making everything gentle and kind. He could feel the purring not just in his ears but in his chest, a resonant hum that seemed to tune his own heart to its peaceful rhythm. It was a place of impossible and gentle magic, a sanctuary woven from sound and warmth. He did not know what he would find at the heart of this valley, but for the first time in a long time, he felt he was walking in the right direction. The path of soft earth and gentle vibrations led him onward, deeper into the gathering mist of purrs. Chapter 2. The Dale of Murmurs. As Rhys descended further, the golden mist swirled gently around his knees, warm and wonderfully soft. The purring grew richer, a complex harmony of 1,000 different tones, all blending into a single, deeply soothing song. The path of soft earth opened into the valley proper, and the sight that greeted him was one of such profound and gentle peace that he could only stand and watch, his heart full of a quiet, wondering joy. The valley, which he would come to know as the Dale of Murmurs, was a bowl of the most vibrant, soft-looking green he had ever seen. Dotted across the landscape were low, gentle hummocks of grass, and nestled upon them, and in between them and beside them, were cats. There were cats of every kind imaginable. Large, fluffy cats the color of cream, sleek black cats that seemed woven from shadow, ginger cats like patches of autumn, and tortoiseshell cats with coats like dappled sunlight on a forest floor. All of them were resting in a state of impossible serenity, some sleeping soundly, others blinking slowly with lazy contentment. Some of the cats lay in distinct patches of clover that seemed to glow with a brighter, warmer light. Rhys realized these patches were holding the warmth and gentle hue of a perfect afternoon sun, creating lovely, warm pools in the grass. These were clearly favored spots, and the cats curled within them seemed to be steeped in a deep, blissful slumber. The collective purr rose from all of them, a unified chorus of comfort that gave the golden mist its warmth and its life. Rhys walked slowly, carefully, his footsteps silent on the soft turf. None of the cats startled at his approach. A few opened their eyes, regarding him with a calm, curious gaze, before closing them again, their purring never faltering. A small tabby-striped cat with wonderfully large ears yawned a wide pink yawn, stretched its front paws luxuriously, and settled its head back down upon them. Rhys felt like a welcome guest in a world built entirely of quiet contentment. It was then that he saw a figure moving near a cluster of ancient, broad-leaf trees on the far side of the dale. It was an old man, his back slightly stooped, his movements slow and deliberate. He wore simple, soft-looking clothes of earthy brown, and his long white hair was tied back loosely. As Rhys drew nearer, the man turned, and his face, weathered with countless gentle seasons, broke into a warm and welcoming smile. He held a simple wooden cup in his hands. The man did not speak, for no words were needed in a place where the air itself hummed with such clear and peaceful intention. He simply beckoned Rhys closer with a gentle nod of his head. This was Phelan, the valley's keeper. Rhys approached, and Phelan offered him the cup. It was filled with warm milk, sweetened with a drop of golden honey, and the comforting aroma rose to meet Rhys as he took it. He murmured his thanks, and Phelan just smiled again, a gesture that conveyed a deep and easy welcome. Rhys sipped the warm, sweet milk, the simple drink a perfect complement to the profound peace of the valley. It spread a gentle warmth through his chest, a comforting sensation that harmonized with the purring vibration all around him. He and Phelan stood together in companionable silence for a time, simply observing the serene landscape of sleeping felines and swirling golden mist. Phelan's presence was as calming as the valley itself, a quiet, stable anchor in this sea of tranquility. Looking at the ancient trees near where Phelan stood, Rhys noticed they had large, smooth burls of wood at their base, whorled with beautiful patterns. He could feel a particularly deep resonance coming from them, and realized these burls were acting like sounding boards, absorbing the cat's purrs and amplifying them into the deep, foundational hum he had felt all along the path. It was all connected, a perfect self-sustaining ecosystem of peace. Phelan gestured toward a low mossy bench near the base of one of the trees. It was a simple invitation to sit and rest. Rhys sat, the wood of the bench warm beneath him, and a large, fluffy gray cat that had been sleeping nearby got up, stretched, and then hopped silently onto the bench beside him, curling into a perfect circle and resuming its deep, rumbling purr. Rhys felt the warmth of its body and the vibration of its contentment, and a feeling of pure, simple happiness washed over him. He was home, in a place he had never known existed. Chapter 3. The Work of Stillness. The following days settled into a gentle, unhurried rhythm. Rhys learned that life in the Dale of Murmurs was not about doing, but about being. Phelan was his quiet guide, teaching him not with words, but with simple, shared action. The work of the valley, as Rhys came to understand it, was the work of stillness, of gentle care offered for its own sake. It was the most fulfilling work he had ever known. Each morning, after sharing a cup of warm milk and honey with Phelan, they would begin their gentle rounds. Phelan presented Rhys with a brush of his own, its handle made of a smooth, pale wood that felt wonderfully warm and light in his hand, and its bristles as fine and soft as dandelion fluff. Their first task was to simply offer a brushing to any cat that seemed to desire it. Rhys would approach a sleeping cat, sit quietly beside it on the soft grass, and begin to brush its fur with long, slow, gentle strokes. The sensation was deeply meditative. He focused on the soft pull of the bristles through the thick fur, the yielding weight of the cat's body as it leaned into his touch, and the subtle shift in its purr. With each stroke, The cat's low rumble would deepen, growing richer and more resonant. It was a tangible response, a clear communication of pleasure and contentment. He could feel the vibration travel from the cat, through the brush, and up his arm, a current of pure, peaceful energy. As the cat's purrs deepened under his gentle care, he noticed a beautiful phenomenon. The golden mist around him would thicken, its color growing richer and warmer. The tiny motes of light within it would swirl more brightly. He was not just a passive observer of the valley's magic. His own gentle actions were contributing to it. By adding to the cat's contentment, he was helping to weave the very fabric of the valley's peace. The thought filled him with a quiet, profound sense of purpose. Another of their gentle tasks was to ensure the cats always had fresh water. In the center of the dale, a small, clear spring bubbled up from the soft earth, its water cool and sweet. Violen and Reese would fill wide, shallow bowls carved from single pieces of wood and place them throughout the valley. The sound of the cats lapping quietly at the water was another soft thread in the valley's rich tapestry of sound, a gentle, percussive rhythm against the constant hum of purrs. Reese found a deep joy in these simple, repetitive acts of care. They required his full, gentle attention, leaving no room for the restless, wandering thoughts that had troubled him before. His mind became as quiet and focused as his hands. He cherished the feeling of a cat's soft fur, the sight of sunlight glinting on the fresh water in a bowl, the rich, clean smell of the earth, and the constant, comforting symphony of purrs. One afternoon, Phelan led him to one of the ancient broadleaf trees and gestured for him to lean against one of the large, murmuring burls at its base. Reese pressed his back against the smooth, warm wood and closed his eyes. The effect was immediate and profound. The collected hum of the entire valley seemed to flow into him, a deep, resonant vibration that traveled through his whole body, loosening every knot of tension he held. It felt like being immersed in the very source of the valley's song. He stayed there for a long time, just breathing in time with the deep hum of the burl, a magnificent ginger cat with a plumed tail sleeping peacefully on his lap. He brushed the cat's back with slow, even strokes, feeling its purr add to the greater vibration of the wood. This was the work of stillness, a quiet exchange of comfort, a gentle participation in a vast and ancient peace. His hands were no longer just for binding books. They were for soothing, for caring, for adding to the world's small store of contentment. Chapter 4. Weaving the Mist. As Reese spent more time in the Dale of Murmurs, his perception of the Purr mist began to change. At first he had experienced it as a warm, golden vapor on his skin, a pleasant external sensation. But now he was beginning to feel it from the inside out. The constant gentle vibration that filled the valley had seeped into him so deeply that it felt like a part of his own being. He could feel it humming softly in his own chest, a soothing internal resonance that quieted his mind and calmed his spirit. His thoughts, which had once been a jumble of worries about unfinished work and vague anxieties about the future, now moved with the same slow, languid grace as the swirling mist itself. They would drift into his awareness, soft-edged and gentle, and then drift away again without leaving a trace of unease. He found he could simply observe them, as he observed the sleeping cats or the shifting light, with a sense of peaceful, detached affection. He was learning the deep contentment that comes from simply being present in the moment. One particularly lovely afternoon, he found an unoccupied sun pool, a patch of soft clover that glowed with the perfect warmth of a sunbeam. He lay down on his back, the grass a wonderfully warm and supportive cushion beneath him. He folded his hands on his chest and closed his eyes, intending to just rest for a moment. All around him, a dozen or so cats were sleeping in similar pools of warmth, and their combined purring created a thick, rich hum that was almost palpable. He focused on the feeling of the purr, allowing the sound and the vibration to wash over him. He felt the warmth of the sun-warmed earth seeping into his back, releasing a tension in his shoulders he hadn't even known was there. The golden mist settled over him like the softest of blankets, its gentle weight a profound comfort. His breathing slowed, deepening until it fell into perfect sync with the rhythmic pulsing hum of the cats. Inhale on the rising note, exhale on the falling one. A small, tortoiseshell cat with fur soft as milkweed fluff padded over, and after a moment of consideration, curled up in the warm space on his chest, right over his heart. Its small body was a concentration of warmth and vibration. Its purr was a deep, rumbling thrum that he felt directly in his own bones, a gentle, living metronome of peace. The sensation was exquisitely calming, rooting him completely in the physical reality of this simple, perfect moment. He lay there for what felt like a blissful eternity, a part of the landscape of contentment. He was no longer Reese, the bookbinder from the world outside. He was simply a warm place for a cat to sleep, a quiet being breathing in time with a song of peace. He felt his own sense of self soften and dissolve, its sharp edges blurring and weaving into the gentle golden mist that surrounded him. All the small worries, the quiet burdens he carried, seemed to lift from him and float away, becoming just another harmless, shimmering mote in the warm air. When he finally opened his eyes, the light in the valley had softened into the gentle hues of twilight, though his sun pool remained as warm as ever. The small cat on his chest was still sleeping soundly, its purr a steady, unwavering rhythm. He felt a profound sense of gratitude well up within him, a quiet, tearless joy for this place and its simple, powerful magic. He had come here seeking respite, and he had found something far deeper. He had found the feeling of his own inner stillness, a peace that came not from anywhere else, but from within himself, coaxed into being by the gentle art of the purr. Chapter 5. A Thread of Purr. There came a morning as soft and gentle as all the others, when Reese awoke with a quiet sense of completeness. The feeling was not an urge to leave, but a peaceful recognition that the deep rest he had sought had been found. The valley had filled him with its tranquility, and now that inner reservoir of calm felt full to the brim. The restlessness that had led him down the vibrating path was a distant memory, replaced by a steady, grounded stillness he knew he could now carry within himself. He performed his morning rituals with a gentle, focused reverence, He sipped his warm milk and honey, his eyes taking in the beauty of the swirling golden mist and the peacefully sleeping cats. He folded his sleeping blanket and left his simple shelter tidy, a silent expression of his deep gratitude for the sanctuary it had provided. He felt a sweet, gentle fondness for the Dale, a quiet pang of knowing he would soon depart, but the feeling was free of sorrow. It was the pleasant ache of leaving a place one loves, knowing its memory will be a comfort forever. After his simple breakfast, he found Phelan waiting for him near the base of a large murmuring burl. The old keeper was not holding their brushes today. Instead, he held a small soft ball in the palm of his hand. As Rhys approached, Phelan smiled his usual warm, knowing smile and held it out. Rhys looked down and saw that it was a small, perfectly round ball, woven from the shed fur of countless cats, a soft tapestry of gray, ginger, black, and white threads. Rhys took the ball into his own hand. It was impossibly soft and surprisingly dense, and as his fingers closed around it, he felt a familiar, gentle sensation. The ball was vibrating. It hummed with a faint, steady purr, a perfect miniature of the valley's great peaceful song. He looked at Phelan, his eyes wide with quiet wonder. Phelan simply nodded, his gaze full of gentle understanding. It was a gift, a tangible thread of the valley's peace that Rhys could take with him. He carefully placed the small purring ball into the inner pocket of his coat, where it rested against his chest. He could feel its constant, gentle vibration, a quiet reminder of the stillness he had learned. He gave Phelan a slow, deep bow of his head, the most sincere gesture of thanks he could offer. Phelan returned the gesture, his eyes crinkling with kindness. As always, no words were needed between them. Their quiet companionship had been built on a foundation of shared serenity. Rhys turned and began to walk toward the path that would lead him out of the valley. He moved slowly, savoring each last sensation. He felt the soft, springy turf beneath his feet, breathed in the warm, chamomile-scented air one last time, and listened to the great, harmonious hum of the Dale. A sleek black cat trotted alongside him for a moment, rubbing against his leg in a silent farewell, before veering off to find a sunny spot. He paused at the edge of the valley, just before the path entered the copse of trees, and turned for one last look. The Dale of Murmurs lay before him, a perfect picture of profound peace, the golden mist swirling gently over the sleeping forms of its countless feline guardians. Phelan stood where Rhys had left him, a serene silhouette against the green, and he raised a hand in a slow, gentle wave. Rhys raised his own in return, his heart full. He could feel the soft, steady purr of the woven ball against his chest, a quiet promise that this peace was now a part of him. He turned, and with a final peaceful breath, walked the path back to his own world.